Hi guys, Veldrin here with another battle report from our casual game night. On the left we have Martin, and he is flying Kath Scarlet with veteran instincts, a heavy laser cannon and an engine upgrade. A Syndicate thug with Autoblaster turret and the Unhinged Astromech. And two Binayre pirates with feedback arrays. The player on the right is me, that's me, Kristofer, Veldrin, and I am playing Captain Oicunn with Darth Vader and Rebel Captive, as well as some Seismic charges. And along him I've got two Scimitar bombers with proximity mines and an Academy pilot. As we are about to start here, it's good to know that Martin has the initiative, since we have pilot skill 1 and 2 ships, both of us. So he's going first with his Binayre pirates, then the Academy TIE, then the Thug, and then the Scimitar bombers. And I think he's just about to start there. So he's sending his first Binayre pirate, a hard 3 to the right, instead of going just straight up outside of the asteroids. And his fellow Binayre pirate does the same. And expecting him to go on the outside, I do the same. I hard turn 3 with the Academy, leading my forces there and, flying alongside the asteroids just as Martin is. The Thug in the Y-Wing is also doing a hard 3, and since he has the Unhinged Astromech, that's a green move for him, so there's no stress there. So I do the same here, hard turn 3 with Scimitar bomber number 1. And another hard turn 3 with Scimitar bomber 2 there. Keeping the formation flying, very precise, just as Martin is. And Oicunn is trying to tag along there at a 2 bank, catching up right behind, bumping into the back of the Scimitar bomber there. Or maybe not, he actually fit. So I take the focus action as well. And finally we have Kath Scarlet, who also hard turns in behind her fellow pirates there. And Martin opens up the second turn here by banking in with the lead pirate, cutting in through the asteroids, trying to get to me as quick as possible. The other Binayre is doing the same maneuver and just fits perfectly, staying in tight formation. And I do another 3 hard turn here, this time to the left into the asteroid field, thinking that, with barrel roll I should be able to navigate the asteroid fields a bit better than the Binayre pirates and the Y-Wing there. Setting up for future turns, I decide to barrel to the right and forward. Martin's Y-Wing is also 3-banking in, staying in tight formation with the Binayre Pirates. And hoping to get into range 1 next turn perhaps there with another 3 move. So he can use his Autoblaster turret. Trying to target lock but unable. Focus instead. I 3-hard turn my bombers as well, following behind the lead Academy pilot, the TIE. And I also decide to barrel that bomber to stay in the same formation as before. And the second bomber is doing the exact same maneuver here, keeping the formation tight. Oicunn does a 2-hard to the left. Getting ready to go through the asteroids to the left or to the right there. And Martin is 1-banking in with Kath Scarlet, trying to get her heavy laser cannon to bear on my ships. And looks like everyone should be out of range. We'll see what he decides to do here. Looks like he focus and checking for range, so no range, so we're on to the planning phase again for the next turn. So the first Binayre pirate, that's a 3-bank here, closing in, maybe trying to bump to take away action from my TIE fighter, and possibly, blocking up the lines there. Take the focus. And the other Binayre does a 3-hard, it looks like, yeah, and bumps into the back of his own Z95 there. So I'm 3-banking in as well with the Academy TIE there. So he'll bump, probably avoid the rock, but still bump and lose his action, which means he's facing at least a range 1 shot from the Z95 with a yellow token thingy to identify him. Next up is the Y-Wing, and he's also hard turning 3 to the left. Remember, it's a green maneuver since he's got the Unhinged Astromech, and he fits perfectly, which means he's got a range 1 shot, Autoblaster turret at my poor Academy TIE. So I 3-bank with my bomber as well on the outside there, which means he will also bump, losing his action. I don't mind that so much because I think he will try to take out the Academy TIE first, since he's in range 1 of the Y-Wing. Move the second TIE bomber a 1 straight, which means he's got the option here to target lock or focus. Battle roll maybe for better position next turn. And I decide to target lock the C95 in the back, the one with the yellow thing, and then Captain Oicunn does a 3 bank between those asteroids, being able to get a range 2 shot at the same C95 as I target locked with the TIE bomber. So I decide to target lock the same Z95 with Captain Oicunn. Kath Scarlet, that's a 1 bank in, which means he might have a range 3 shot on Captain Oicunn there with the heavy laser cannon. Or if she boosts, she might get her rear end for the extra die from her ability on my ties there, and that's what Martin decides to do. He's going to boost.
Det har 3 tärningar, den har 2. Men båda kan få plus 1, så det blir 3 tärningar i så fall. Jag tänkte att vi skulle kolla på en spel först. Jag tror inte det. Jag ska få göra igång från
So after some measuring and deliberating with himself, he decides to target the bomber at the back with that action. Gets 3 hits and 2 evades, so 1 crit. So I think it was an injured pilot, which doesn't really matter. Next up is Captain Oicunn. So I'm measuring here to decide on a target, and let's see if I pick the Binayre pirate that I target locked. So yeah, here it comes. Target lock for a grand total of 1 hit and a crit. And he gets 1 evade, so shields down. Or I mean 1 shield down. So next up is the Thug, shooting the Autoblaster turret at my Academy tie. 2 hits, so 2 hits, since you can't avoid hits from the Autoblaster turret. Next up are my bombers, so range 2 to the yellow C95 there, 2 hits, and 2 evades, so no damage goes through. And then I'm shooting at the same target with the other bomber. Checking for range 1, looks like it. And I get 2 eyes and 1 hit. And evaded. Okay, so the yellow is the 95 on the Academy tie, I believe. So that's one hit. And no evades, so he's dead, but he's going to do a return fire here since they're both pilot skill 1 in a bit. The other Binayre pirate shoots at the TIE bomber, one hit, spending his focus for a second. And looks like one evade, so one more hit on that bomber. And then it's the return fire from my academy, who is also targeting the yellow Z95 there. So it looks like one hit and nothing. So the last shield from that Z95. And then we're on to the planning phase. So the lead Binayre pirate there does a 3k turn, hoping to get arcs on at least one of my bombers. And the second one, the one that has lost its shield, is doing a hard 3 to the left. And it fits perfectly nice there, in between my bomber and the rock, so nice maneuver there. The Y-Wing does a 2 bank, and that will not clear. And he will land just on the rock with the back end of the ship there, which means there will be no shot from his turret. So he's rolling for the rock, and he's safe from damage, but he's still stuck on it. So my first bomber does a 3 straight, heading for Kath, and thanking that the Y-Wing landed on the rock, otherwise he would be in range of the Autoblaster turret there. I decide to drop a proximity mine on the Thug Y-Wing there, and here comes the dice. Looks like one hit, so one shield from the Scum Y-Wing. The TIE bomber is doing a 2 bank, following behind the damaged C95 there, just hitting in the back of him. And we forgot to roll for the C95 passing over the rock, but it was nothing, so it's safe. Oicunn does a hard 2 to the right, cutting in front of the rock. I'm hoping here that Kath will pass on the outside without arc. I'm afraid that Kath might 2-turn hard to the right and get her rear arc on me, but I'm guessing Martin is going forward to the left here, cutting around the rock. So, and after some consideration there, I decide to target lock the Y-Wing that hit the rock, because I know I can hit it. I don't know if it's any point to targeting Kath yet. Might try to take that Y-Wing out first. And Kath does a hard turn here to the left, so I'm guessing right. He's passing by without arcs on any of my ship there. I guess Martin is thinking about boosting here, getting around quicker, or if he should target lock or the future here, or focus for defense in case I target him with Oicunn. And I know that I'm planning to not target him because that's the rock for closest range here, and I target lock the Y-Wing, but I mean it's an opportune chance here, getting a range 1 shot at Kath. So he decides to target lock for the future. And after some consideration, he decides to target lock the bomber with Kath Scarlet there. And then we're moving into the shooting phase. So first up, it's Oicunn on the Y-Wing, and rolling too many dice, so rerolls and nothing, and then spending the target lock for the reroll and getting 3 hits or 2 hits and a crit even, and 1 evade, so shields down on the Y-Wing on the rock. And then we have my bomber on Kath, looks like range 3. And that's 1 hit, maybe 2, I can't really see from here. So eyes, so 1 shield from Kath there. And then we have the Binayre pirate there, checking arcs on both bombers, and it's just out of range 1 it looks like. The topmost is shooting at the bottom one, also range 2. Looks like 2 hits, and maybe 1 evade, so taking 1 damage. And no use of the feedback arrays, so we're on to the next round. So the first pirate does a 3 bank to the right there, trying to shake my bomber. I was thinking he could do a 1 straight, and then I'll bump him, or he'll try to run away, and in case I try to catch him I might overshoot there. Takes a focus. And the other pirate does also a 3 bank to the left here, chasing my other bomber. And he will fit nicely there, between the rock and my bomber. And we have the Y-Wing Thug, who is doing a 4K turn, I believe, here. Yeah. So he might have arc on my top bomber and probably not my bottom bomber. My first bomber does a 1 straight there, getting a bit lucky here that I guessed right. So I have arc on the running away Binayre pirate there, who is shieldless. I have a target lock on him, so I just focus up. The other bomber does a 3 hard to the right there, staying out of the way of Oicunn, and setting up for getting back into the fight in the next turn or next 2 turns. and proceeds to target lock Kath. Captain Oicunn drops his seismic charge here before moving. And he does a one bank to the right there to have range on hopefully both Kath and that Binayre pirate. Should be a range 1 on the pirate, I think. So Captain Oicunn target locks the pirate there. And Kath Scarlet has a 3 bank to the left there, trying to get people in arc here, ending up just in range of my seismic charge. And right now it looks like it has no shot this turn either. And after some consideration on how to proceed here, Martin decides to boost, probably trying to get around as quick as possible here to get shots with Kath, and I don't think he's in a position that he's very happy with. And then the seismic charge takes 1 shield off of Kath. So we're moving into the shooting phase, which means Oicunn goes first on the Binayre pirate in range 1. Looks like 2 hits, spending the target lock, and getting 3 hits, or maybe 2 hits and a crit. And here's Martin's defense roll, and that looks like 1 evade. So 1 hit and 1 crit, which means taking both shields off that pirate as well. Both pirates are now shieldless. Next up is the Thug Y-Wing, who's got a range 2 shot at my top bomber. And he rolls 1 crit and 1 evade. And then it's my bomber's turns. So the bomber up there, range 1 on the Binayre pirate. It looks like 2 eyes and a blank, so target lock and then focus for 3 hits. And looks like, well, at least one of them was a blank, so that means 2 goes through, and that will be the end of the pirate, so all 3 went through. Last shot of this turn will be from the Binayre pirate, range 1 on Oicunn, and we just figured out he'd put his damage card on the wrong Binayre pirate there. The yellow one should have all of them, and the other one is just shieldless. So here comes the range 1 attack on Oicunn. And that's nothing, because he didn't have a focus, because he's still stressed. And he's got another stress from Rebel Captive, and then we move on to the planning phase again. And the Binayre Pirate does a 2-bank, clears one of the stress, and fits in nicely again behind my decimator and that rock. Then we have the Y-Wing doing a 3-bank to the left there, and remember it's still green because of the unhinged Astromech, and he just manages not to clip the asteroid, so nice maneuver there. So the Thug takes a focus action. My topmost bomber does a 5k turn, getting ready to get back in as quick as possible. Maybe heading straight for Kath there, as Kath will probably turn in. And my other bomber also k-turns. Captain Oicunn does a hard 2 to the left, staying close to that bandit, that pirate, and hoping to blast it out of space here this turn, as it's still actionless, and then he target locks. And then we have Kath, who does a 3-bank to the left there, just clipping the asteroid, looks like. But she's trying to get into the fight here. She hasn't fired a shot since the first one she took, and I bet she's itching to get back in here. And she's losing another shield from the rock. Captain Oicunn is checking range here and decides to go for the Binayre Pirate that he target locked. And looks like 2 hits, or maybe 1 hit and a crit, and reroll, and 2 getting there. Let's see the defense roll. Looks like 1 evade, so he takes 1 damage. Or actually, yeah, he had it before, so he's gone now. And that's it. There's no more shooting this turn, so we're into the planning phase. So Martin moves his Y-Wing at 2 hard to the right there, chasing Captain Oicunn. And he takes the focus action, and then we're on to my bombers. The topmost does a 3 straight, clearing stress. And takes a focus action, and the other one does a, looks like a 2 straight there, just avoid bumping into Oicunn there, it looks like. Yeah, he fits just perfectly there, and he's still got a target lock on a Kath Scarlet. So he decides to focus there, and then we're on to Captain Oicunn, who is doing a 2 hard to the right there. And he takes a focus action, and then we're on to Kath Scarlet's move. And Martin reveals what looks like a 4 straight. Try to cut around on the outside there. And he then decides to boost, getting around that topmost asteroid and setting up for a potential shot next turn here on Oicunn or one of the bombers. So first shooting here, Oicunn on the Y-wing, range 3, looks like 1 hit, and the Y-wing comes up with an evade. And then I'm contemplating using Vader here, and I decide to do that, so giving a crit to the Y-wing. And I can't see which one it is. We'll see if we can figure it out as we move on. So the Y-wing is shooting at one of the bombers, and looks like he got a hit, maybe 2, and I'm thinking about spending the focus. Yep, I decide to spend the focus to avoid taking damage. So now my bomber returns fire here, range 2 on the Y-wing. And looks like 1 hit. And that goes through, so he lost his agility, that was the crit. Oh, the other bomber coming up here, range 2 again, 2 hits, spending the focus there, or the hit and a crit. Which means the Y-wing is off the table. So now it's just Kath facing my 3 ships here. My first bomber decides to hard turn 3 there, setting up an attack run on Kath as she's coming around that top asteroid. And since I already have a target lock on her, I decide to focus. But then I realize that perhaps that's not the best thing to do here, so I'm thinking about it a bit more. And in the end I decide to do a barrel roll to get to the left of that middle top asteroid. The other bomber also hard turns 3 there. Let's see if I can just avoiding the asteroid. And then target locking for the future. And Oicunn does a hard turn 3 here, coming up straight at Kath. Maybe we can set up for a bump next turn, so taking away a hit from Kath. Or taking a damage or a shield off of Kath. And then we focus, and we're on to Kath. And Kath does a 3 bank to the left there, so there'll be a range 1 shot on Oicunn and return fire. And I will have a perfect chance to run into Kath next turn for an extra point of damage. So after some consideration there, maybe thinking about a boost, Martin decides to put a focus on Kath before we turn to the shooting phase. So point blank on Oicunn. Looks like 3 hits and a crit, or 2 hits and a crit, 3 hits and a crit. And Oicunn returns fire here. Looks like 2 hits and a crit, using the target lock to reroll the blank. And that's 3 hits and a crit back. And Martin rolls 1 evade, 1 focus. And he decides to spend the focus token for 2 evades, so 1 hit, taking the shield, and then a crit on Kath. And here go the bombers, looks like range 3. And I realize I've stolen all of Martin's red dice here. I'm returning them one at a time. 1, 2, 3. And 1 more. 5. So here's the actual attack. Looks like 1 hit and a focus. And thinking about using the target lock. And let's see what I decide upon. I decide upon not spending it, so just 1 hit. And he evades. And we're on to the next turn. So my first bomber does a 1 bank. Keeping arc on Kath where she is, in case she bumps my Oicunn, as well if she goes past it. And decide to focus as well. And the other one does a hard 3 to the right. So in case Kath goes past Oicunn, I can have a shot with that one as well. Otherwise, next time I might bank in to have shots. And Oicunn just does a 1 straight, giving 1 more damage to Kath from his pilot ability. Kath reveals a 2 bank, which will not clear Oicunn there, so she just bumps straight into him where he is, and we're into the shooting phase. So Kath has no shot, so it's just my lone bomber there, range 2. And that's a blank, so I am spending my target lock. to reroll. And that comes up with a hit and a crit. And Kath comes up with 1 evade, so 1 crit going through. So if my calculations are correct, Kath is now down to her last 2 hull points. So my first bomber does a 1 bank to the right there, shooting where I think Kath will end up if he goes past Oicunn. And then I decide to focus. The other bomber does a 1 bank to the left, getting in where she might end up in case she does a 3 bank, but if she does a 4 straight or a K-turn, I will have a shot at her. So now I'm thinking, should I focus or should I barrel roll? Because if I don't barrel roll, I will have no shot at Kath at all if she does not get past Oicunn. So I decide that a barrel roll is the right choice here, because if she goes past there, both Oicunn and the other bomber will have a shot at least. I mean, Oicunn is going to do a bump here and take away another hit point from Kath, so she's down to her last 1. Kath decides to do a 3 banking there, so if I hadn't moved my bomber, she would have stayed put. But now she gets past, and which means I will have shot at her with both Oicunn and the bomber that has target lock and focus. Hopefully being able to take away that last hit point of hers.
Han tog 6. Så vi kan... Va? Ändå du dödar mig. Vad hinner du?
And Martin decides to take an evade action, I believe. Looks like one.
Nej, de har 3 vanliga fall. Minus 1. Plus 1 för hennes mål. Och sen när du spekulerar själv så är det de 3 barn. De har 3, så det är en borta. De plus 1 för det. Det är 3. Så det betyder alltså om det betyder att hennes mål tar bort tid, kan man säga det. Ganska långt av 3 mål. Precis. Och det är ju när det ställer det där i ett och så är det från toppen. Du kan spara och samtidigt så rangerar 3. Det är det helt klart det. Det är helt rätt. Det är 4 på det. Det är svårt att räkna. Det är 5. Nej.
So what was happening here is that the crit that Kath took was the one that reduced her primary weapon with 1. So Martin is still deciding on target locking here, because doing a potential of as many damages as possible on Oicunn here. So he target locks instead. So it's 4 from a primary weapon back, since he's -1 from the crit. Gets 1 crit and spends the target lock for a total of 1 hit and 1 crit on Oicunn. really see what the crit was, but let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damages. 9 damage. 10 damage on Oicunn. So he was 1 damage short of killing Oicunn there. And with only 1 hit point left on Kath, Martin decides to just call it there because there's really no chance he won't die here. And I think we were in the last turn of the game anyway. So thank you, Martin, and I hope all of you enjoyed the battle report.